Hello and welcome to Kellyapy, a self-help podcast. Have you ever known someone who suffers from an addiction and they just can't seem to break free from it no matter how hard they try? Maybe you yourself suffer from an addiction that you just can't break free of. So many people are looking for ways to overcome these demons, and rehabilitation is one such way many find a way out. So today I'm going to be talking with my friend Mary Kay about rehabs for recovery. She currently works at Carolina Center for Recovery, which is a local center here in town that has helped so many people seeking to recover from their addiction. Please welcome to the show, Mary. Welcome, Mary. So glad you could take time. Mary's actually taking time out of her lunch break from working at the Carolina Center of Recovery to do this podcast today.
It's my pleasure, Kelly. Thanks for having me.
Well, Mary, let's just cut to the chase here. We were just talking about rehab and how rehab's kind of got a bad name attached to it for some reason. And I'm not quite sure how that happened. I think maybe in the past, people thought it was shameful to have to go to a rehabilitation center. But what's your experience with rehab and how far it's come and where it is today?
Well, from my perspective, I got sober a little bit ago, and I did not know that rehab was available at the time. And if I did, I know in my heart I wouldn't have gone because I would have been too afraid, afraid of the unknown. And I guess the stigma of, being locked up in a place for however long the program is for did not appeal to me. And, in my fear and confusion, when I was first getting sober, I think it prevented me from pursuing that as an option. My experience with rehab, on the other hand, as a person coming in and serving my community for my recovery and then being hired on to the staff at CCR has been completely different from anything I could have imagined.
And just kind of so to let the listeners understand, you didn't start off working at the Carolina Center for Recovery. You came in as a service commitment, correct?
That's right. As a service commitment in my recovery, and what's always encouraged to me is to spread the message of sobriety with others. I was invited to come and bring meetings in to the facility for the clients who were currently in the program. And at the time, Carolina Center Recovery had, I think, about 11 clients at the time. And since then, we have grown exponentially to 50 clients. So it has grown in just a couple of years that I've been exposed to my experiences here. It sure has in such a short time. And I think it's under 3 years.
Yeah. And so your official title is what, Mary?
It's lead group facilitator. And so what I do here is I bring curriculum to the clients in the mornings and sometimes in the afternoon. And what we do is we discuss the different aspects of recovery, the different aspects of addiction, how we can identify as addicts and alcoholics, and what we can do about it. That there are coping skills that we can learn once we accept that we need the help.
Wonderful. And that's part of the battle right there, is accepting that you need the help, because so many people resist going into a program like this. So just so to make it a little less scary, suppose I'm a new person and I decide I need it to go to rehabilitation. What does a day in the life look like for anyone?
See. Well, firstly, what I would invite folks to do if they are curious is to come and schedule a tour. And then we can go around and show you everything that rehab has to offer. A lot of folks are not in a position where they can plan to come into recovery. A lot of times it's a very desperate time. But if you are in the position to come and take the tour, by all means, we welcome that. We can show you all of the amenities that we have. We can show you we can introduce you to our staff. We have a clinical staff as well as a case management staff. We have a behavioral tech staff, and we have a doctor on staff who is responsible for the medical care of all of our clients. A day in the life of being at CCR would be, we have a dormitory style arrangement for the people who come in for the 45-day program. And that is a PHP program, where it's a partial hospitalization program. That's how insurance classifies us. It's partial hospitalization, but it's not anything like a hospital environment. Again, no one makes you come here. You make the decision on your own, and we encourage the development of skills. So in the morning, you wake up. I do believe you start getting woke at 7:30, and then you have time for prayer if you want it. Time with your God, prayer and meditation. You can work out in the gym, and then we serve breakfast. And then after breakfast, we move into our curriculum for the day. And say, for example, this week, our curriculum this week for today was, in the morning, we discussed positive and negative thinking. All right, so myself and another facilitator break the group into smaller portions, because like I said, we have 50 clients now, and that doesn't really make for an intimate exchange. So we have several programs going on at the same time. The young lady I work with was doing resentments and anger, and I'm doing positive and negative thinking. We also have a pre-contemplation program that we take our new folks through when they first start out. And pre-contemplation is, the discussion about all things associated with the brain, and how our disease affects our brain, and how our brain reacts to the way we drink and drug. So there's that going on as well. So after our morning curriculum, then we had, this morning, we had the nutritionist come in, and the nutritionist speaks with the clients for an hour, and they talk about things like how to put good foods in your body, how to make arrangements for, for you to enjoy that, that opportunity to get healthy. She talks about, the different combinations of food that work best for each and every person's body. After the nutritionist visits, we then have lunch. And so right now, let's see, it's 12:15. So they've broken for lunch, and they get almost an hour for lunch. And then we start up again at 1, and we do case management. And that's when they break up into their therapist groups. And those groups are considerably smaller. They're 9 or 10 in a group, and they talk about their progress. They talk about their goals, what they're grateful for, and ways that they can encourage one another. After that, we have a gender group, and we split up into the different genders, and we basically talk about things that are important to us as women, us as men, us as non-binary. And so we have that opportunity as well. Some days we have coin outs in the afternoon, and a coin out is when someone graduates from the program and they get a chance to tell their story, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now being in new recovery. And it's very inspiring to a lot of the newer folks who just come in. And it's wonderful support for the folks who have walked alongside that individual who's graduating. And then we get the opportunity to pass around a coin, a graduation coin, and each person tells that individual what they mean to them, and how they've inspired them in their own recovery.
I love that. I love that. And then
And
once
then
they,
after
yeah.
the school day, and it is kind of like being a student. I like to
Mm,
think of it as that, rather than being a patient.
mhm.
We are all students of this kind of life, this newfound kind of life that we know very little about when we're drinking and using. And after that, we have opportunity to go to the gym. We have opportunity to read and reflect. We have opportunity to go into the game room and play pool and ping pong. And we have crafts in there also. Some girls are making some jewelry now, and they do some painting. And so it's really a chance to explore some of the things that we might have been interested in doing before our disease got up and over us.
Mhm.
I remember being on a retreat once, and a young lady that was there said, I don't even know what color I like. I don't know what my favorite color is. And it was so telling a statement, because our disease really robs us of just about everything we have. So this is really a basic, structured environment that provides safety and education. You know,
It sounds like food for the body, mind, and soul. It's really treating everything that, like you said, the disease takes from you, Mary, right?
Mhm. That's right. And a lot of times I try to remember that not only did it feel like my disease took from me, but I gave it all away.
Mm.
And that helps me to take some responsibility for the choices that I've made and the choices that I continue to make. I don't want to give away the things that I've walked away from in the past, like custody of my child and a place to live and a good job and all these things that, kind of slipped out of my grasp when I was drinking and using. I don't ever want to be in a position again where I sacrifice those beautiful things in my life.
Absolutely. And speaking of beautiful things in your life, what about family? Does family get to come and visit? Wow.
Absolutely. Every other weekend, half of the clients get the opportunity to invite their family in for a 2-hour education program. And so what that entails is an hour of curriculum for the family from the perspective of what the family goes through. And now they can, better themselves and educate themselves with what's going on. And then we have an hour where the family can visit with their loved ones.
That's good because it's not just the alcoholic and addict that needs to get some
The
healing
whole
here.
family.
It's the whole family for this thing to really succeed, right, Mary?
Exactly. And for those folks that don't have family education weekend and they have to wait for the following weekend, we set up an activity for them.
Oh,
And so usually we'll do stuff like go to play putt-putt if the weather is permitting. We'll go bowling. We'll go to the movies. When we had less women, we were able to take them to the manicure place to get mani-pedis.
ooh, like that.
But now that we have, roughly 22 women, I think currently, that's too big a group to be able to handle at a place like that. So
Oh
we
yeah.
do come up with some other creative things so that we can do.
That's so wonderful. You get to self-care and have fun in the process. That's an important part of it, right,
That's
Mary?
right.
You got to have fun.
There's
Uh,
so many times that the clients will say, I can't remember the last time I went to a movie without being drunk. I
mhm.
can't remember the last time, I went bowling without being drunk.
Yeah.
And so many things, like I said, that, we walk away from our freedom of choice,
Mhm.
as far as the lovely things we like to enjoy, we kind of forget that those are things that we like to enjoy. Our disease, pretty much strips every interest that we have away from us.
So speaking of like, as we're talking about people and coming into rehab and really kind of finding that they like it, does everybody walk in so happy that they're here?
No, no, hardly, hardly. I think most folks are just beat down to the point where, they've reached a point in their lives where they want something different. They just don't know how to get it. And like I said, sometimes just the safety of a program, like we don't demand anybody stay here. And if you really want out, then God bless you, then you can leave.
And do people leave? Do people just take off?
Yes, they do. And, either they get to a point where they think they can do it on their own, or they don't have the coping skills to stay, and they don't develop them along the way.
And that's what happens with alcoholics and addicts. For those who don't know, we're very prideful people at times, and we think we can do it our way. And that's part of the battle in dealing with the disease, is trying to let somebody see, that no, there's a better way to do this, and we can show you how. You just got to stick with it and stick with us. That's right. We'll get you there.
Well, that's what I love about remembering that in treatment, as well as in my program of recovery, I'm given tools. Mm-hmm. And the tools that I'm given far surpass the original tool I had, which was drinking and using. That was my only go-to tool when emotions got up and over me. Like I like the happy emotions. I love the peaceful ones. I love the I love the excitement of life, and I love the gifts that life brings. But when things go south and I have to deal with my own character defects, I don't like how that feels. I don't like how resentment feels. I don't like how jealousy feels. I don't like how dishonesty feels, but I have no tools to combat them. And so what happens is I drink and use again. But in recovery, we get the chance to appreciate tools brought to our feet that we can pick up and use whenever we want. And some of those tools are getting a sponsor, working a program, going to meetings. And we encourage our clients to go to meetings. They commit to a meeting every day when they're here. And sometimes we will take them to outside meetings, and sometimes we will have in-house meetings. Recently, CCR has opened up the opportunity to have meetings here at the facility. Mm-hmm. And what the beautiful thing about our meeting that we encourage guests to come is, initially we started it around Thanksgiving time. Yeah. And now, initially we had, I think, 9 guests the first time that we had our meeting. And last Saturday we had 77 outside guests. So
that is amazing. Oh my gosh, that is huge. I was at that first meeting. It was a great meeting, because anybody who knows Mary will know that it's going to be a good meeting. So 77, that's amazing, Mary. That's awesome. Let me ask you.
It's a nice opportunity too for the clients to mingle with our guests who are in positions to offer their desire to give service back, to give back to the community that we were given for free.
Wonderful. Now, speaking of giving back, once they're out, what's their post I want to say like post-op, but what's their post-treatment like? Do you follow them? Do they check in with you, or are they often running on their own?
Well, a lot of times we will set up, most of the times, if they are willing, we will set up an opportunity for them to work a IOP program. That's an intensive outpatient program. And that starts up when you graduate from PHP. When you graduate from the 45-day program, you're offered the opportunity to start an intensive outpatient program, and that runs for 12 weeks. And what else we offer our clients is opportunity to gain employment if they're unemployed, an opportunity to pay their bills and, learn how to pay their bills, learn how to be a responsible citizen, learn how to, deal with things that have happened in the court system, so that we can become more law-abiding citizens. The 12-week program means you go back to an environment of recovery. So that may mean you can go back to your own household if that's a safe place, or you go into sober living. And we have access to several different opportunities for sober living here at CCR. We
In fact,
have the Oxford House is one, and we have Anchor of Hope is another. And Anchor of Hope was started by a gentleman who started bringing meetings in similar to the way that I did. And now he has, I do believe he's coming up on 15 sober houses. So, I mean, that has come a long way also.
and you know, we just recently interviewed Comey about sober living, and I believe she came through CCR as well. And
That's
is
right. That's
another
right.
fan of Mary Kay, as am I. So,
Well, she has a beautiful testimony.
oh,
I mean, her
wonderful.
program is, and I remember when she first came in, and you know, the miracles that God is performing, at least my higher power is performing in her life, are extraordinary, extraordinary.
It's a wonderful testament to how it works. And she did mention CCR in the podcast. So if anybody wants to listen to that podcast, it's a wonderful podcast with Camilla. So you mentioned IOP. Do people have to go into the in-house program, or could they just go into IOP if they decided they wanted to do that?
We have the IOP available to folks who meet a certain criteria for the different kinds of recovery. So, you know, if we follow biopsychosocial, which is an interview that we conduct, and you meet different criteria for what will be your best chance at recovery. A lot of times they are encouraged to try PHP, but instead they want to start with IOP so they don't lose their complete tether in their world, so they can still work, so they can still take care of their families. And a lot of times it's too much. It's still too much. So then they're offered our PHP program.
And I think that's the biggest thing I hear resistance for going into these programs, because there's been plenty of women I've worked with who just can't seem to get it no matter what. And I strongly suggest they go into an in-house program so they can have that time to just focus on themselves.
Focus on them.
Be there. But the excuse always is, I can't leave my family. I can't leave my job. What, you know, but my argument there is, you're not going to have a family or job soon enough if you keep the way you're going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's always the possibility that you could lose it all, you know, and so we don't pussyfoot around with stuff like that. That's why there's a certain criteria that needs to be met. And it's a formula. It's an absolute formula. We ask you a bunch of questions, and based on the answers and responses to those questions, we make the decision, or the decision is made as to what would be the best program for the individual.
That's wonderful. And do you have like detox portion, like if somebody comes in, do they have
God bless.
to go
Yes,
through
we
a
do.
detox?
We don't have our detox facility set up yet here at CCR currently, where we are in Huntersville, but well, it's at the border of Huntersville and Charlotte. But we have a detox facility in South Carolina, and that's our detox facility. And folks will go there first if necessary, and then they will come to us when they start to feel better, when they can handle, when they've completely detoxed. And usually that takes anywhere between 7 and 10 days.
Okay. Yeah. And then finally, once they've kind of got through the rough part of the detoxification process, then they can be open to, really, you've stopped the bleeding. Now let's get to the healing of the wounds.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, we have a medical program here that if folks need medication, we offer it. We don't offer anything that's mood or mind altering. But there are so many medications available to folks that can make this process easier. You know, there's antidepressants, and there's, you know, there are some opportunities for sleep medicine to sleep better. You know, we have some folks with bipolar issues or borderline. We are capable of handling so many things with our qualified staff and with the medicine that's available today.
And that's one of the real big benefits of rehabilitation as well, is you have access to your own personal kind of therapist, and you're kind of hooked into everything there, with, like you mentioned,
That's right.
exercise, having fun, having personal therapists to work with you on your regimen to get you where you need to be. And of course, the 12-step recovery process as well.
That's right. We have a music therapy program, and we also have a trauma therapist that works with our clients. So that's another chance at, getting yourself better, becoming more equipped to live life on life's terms.
That's beautiful. Well, listen, Mary, I know we're getting to the end of our time here, and I'm going to let you get back to your lunch here in just a second, but not before we finish out the podcast.
Terrific.
Now, from doing my previous podcast, I like to have our guest give a message of hope to help and heal. So, Mary, what's your message of hope to help and heal those out there wondering whether or not they should go into rehab?
Well, I think the biggest message is the realization that we're not alone. I am not alone in my recovery. And, quite frankly, if I were alone, I don't know that I'd stay sober. So help is available. And there's so many ways that we can get help. We can discover a God of our understanding and work a spiritual program. We can go to, religious people and see where they are right. We can consider so many avenues and opportunities for change. And that's the beautiful thing about recovery is, the options are endless, and we don't have to do any of this by ourselves, because if left to our own devices, we will drink and drug again.
Absolutely. I knew, once again, drop the mic, Mary Kay.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Let me just end with this final quote from Bucky Sinister, who's an author, actor, and poet. Have you ever heard of him, Mary?
I have his books. Yes, I do. I just love him.
Well, perfect. Then this quote made me think of you. So he put, "Your best days are ahead of you. The movie starts when the guy gets sober and puts his life back together. It doesn't end there." So start your movie, start that movie, get going, make the phone call, change your life. So thank you once again, Mary, for taking time out of your lunch break to join us. And we'll be seeing you again, I'm sure, for our next season 5. But I want to thank you so much, Mary.
I look forward to it, Cal.
Well, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Kellyapy. If you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe. We're going to be doing this for half an hour each week. If you like more positive messages, check out our YouTube vlog, Monday Messages, hosted by me, Kelly Mahoney. Until next week, have a great week, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Kellyapy. Bye.
Bye.